Welcome to the Inside Silverstone podcast, a business-focused podcast covering all things tech, engineering and innovation. Hosted by me, Chris Broome, a huge tech, motorsport and gaming fan, and also the owner of Longhurst, a firm of lifestyle financial planners and independent financial advisors located in Silverstone, Northamptonshire. This is a series of unscripted and unpolished conversations with leading business owners, thought leaders and high-tech talent where we discuss their experiences within the Silverstone business and motorsport region. We will also be asking them to share their knowledge, insight and their thoughts on the future just for you. If you're looking to learn more about the Silverstone high growth region and commercially connect with like-minded peers, you've definitely come to the right place. Welcome to Inside Silverstone. Welcome to the next edition of Inside Silverstone. My name is Chris Broome and I'm your host. Today I am delighted to finally welcome to the show Adrian Pryce, who is a Professor of International Business at the University of Northamptonshire, but also wears a lot of other hats, which we're going to touch on in the next few minutes. Adrian, thank you for joining the show.
Well, thank you indeed for having me on. Yes, it's a great pleasure to be here. So, well, where would you like to start, really?
Well, let's talk about the university, right? Because that's obviously got to be one of your main hats. So the first thing is, this is a COVID catch-up series. So how's it all been during COVID for you, the faculty, the students, obviously? What's been going on?
Well, it's my day job, the university, and a great platform, actually, for someone like me who's pretty curious and nosy and pokes my nose into lots of things. But in terms of the day job with the students, they're our customer, they're our product. Sure. We had, when we moved to the new campus 2 or 3 years ago, we were already, I think, moving towards blended learning, which is basically using technology to enhance the learning experience. So it's not all about me teaching you, it's about me giving you the keys for you to learn. Yeah. And obviously there's so much resource on the internet. So we were some way down the road, and I would say quite a way ahead of many universities in terms of having our students, and maybe we can turn that tap on online much more quickly and more fully, and obviously reduce the content, the classroom content, yeah, which basically stopped in March towards the end of the academic year for undergrads. But for postgrads, we have been teaching through into July, and it's been switched to webinars. Some of the students don't like it. I've personally tried to G them up and say, do you know what? You can get more out of people like me actually online. If you've got your wits about you, demand my attention, get me on Skype or get me on the tools we've got. And most of the ones who are more switched on and more engaged have definitely done that. And we've had to check on their mental well-being, obviously, as part of the pastoral care. But, I think we're well placed for that blended learning. Now, the big test with undergraduates coming back at the end of this month, just to give a quick feel of our approach, we've clearly changed the one-way systems and the cleaning regimes. But instead of perhaps 12 hours contact, we are guaranteeing at least 2 or 3 hours per student per week on campus with somebody.
Good. And
again, that will be touching in with their mental well-being. Everything's okay. But I think we're doing very well, actually. And I'm very impressed by the senior management of the university, how they have organized, supported us, supported the students, helped us support the students. And we're in as good a shape, I would say, as any university in the country.
Fantastic to hear. And obviously your specialism, your niche is international business. So in a snapshot, what's the sort of background, a genesis behind why Adrian is an expert in international business? Where does that come from?
Well, thank you very much. Probably you can tell that I'm quite old. So it's sort of 62, just turned 62 years of age. I've only been in academia for the last 12, 13 years. So before that, I had a wide experience, really, mostly in business development, but, started off 4 or 5 years with Barclays after my first degree. I've worked in the travel and tourism industry for 12 or 13 years. I've lived in Spain for 13 years. I've worked in environmental management systems for many years. I've been in the food industry, importing Spanish products. I've kind of tried everything. My own business startups, other people's startups, successes, failures, large corporates, public sector. I worked for a year with the World Bank on a wonderful assignment in travel and tourism. So I've knocked around. I've been in lots of different places, geographic places, corporate culture places, and something kind of sticks, or something makes you sort of start to see patterns and things. Well, okay, that was a good experience for these reasons, and that was less good for those reasons. And I don't know, I started teaching part-time at the uni one afternoon. Nobody wanted to do Friday afternoon. So I kind of got, a part-time gig doing Friday afternoons, and quite enjoyed it. They seemed to asked me to do more. And I said, well, as long as I can keep my outside interests, I'm happy to join the staff, but can I keep doing all the other sort of things? And they said yes. And, you know, a wonderful decision, which was literally just after my 50th birthday, within days of my 50th birthday, a radical late career change.
Nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's a brave thing and a bold thing, and clearly a successful thing that you've just done. So very good. And also I'm looking at you know, profile online. So I'm seeing here that in 2017 you were appointed Deputy Lieutenant of Northamptonshire for services to charity and business. So for those that may be not familiar with what that actually means, what is that type of role, and why are you doing it?
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. So the Lord Lieutenant of the county is basically the Queen's representative, the eyes and ears, and it's the way that curiously, the establishment and the monarchy get to understand what's going on in communities and gets to see, you know, the hidden heroes, the community heroes, the charities, but also the Lord Lieutenant plays a pivotal role, non-political, you know, non-sectarian, non-faith, to be a kind of I don't know, a coordinator or a link, or bringing people together for the good of the community, for the good of the business, for the good of the charity, for the good of the civic authorities. And we were blessed with the Lord Lieutenant David Lang, who's just stepped down, and his successor, James Saunders Watson, as people very engaged, very committed, and put an awful lot of time and energy into going around the county, you know, being that glue and helping and supporting who they could. And I came to David's attention through the Hope Centre, the homelessness charity in Northampton.
Yeah, we donate to the Hope Centre.
Well, a great charity. And I was 9 years a trustee, 6 as chair, made a lot of noise, beat the drum, bit like Bob Geldof, give us the, you know, effing money and all this type of stuff. And anyway, David must have thought, oh, this guy's doing something here. And he hit most of the deputy lieutenants, of which there are about 30 in the county, are very often, you know, leading lights from the world of business. I mean, we have had the ex-chairman of Lloyd's Bank, you know, ex-chair of Sotheby's. I mean, you name it, Saatchi and Saatchi. But I think David has helped to democratize it a bit, go deeper into society, find perhaps people, you know, not at the end of their career, but perhaps a few years younger, still very active, and brought us forward to extend his eyes and ears, and to extend perhaps a more proactive approach to the role. So it's been a great honor. I suppose it was for doing something in the past, but for me, the challenge becomes, what can I do with it to help the county in the future?
Very good, very good. And you also, because you're not busy enough as it is, run a radio show, so Open for Business. So talk to us about that. So I obviously run a podcast, and I know how much time and energy that takes. You know, you're running a radio show whilst doing all these other things as well. So what is the radio show? Why do you run it? And what's the story there?
Well, you know, I must be careful if my bosses in the university are listening, but actually the radio, local radio, the university is I think a half shareholder in it, or major stakeholder, and you know, does very much support it. And it was one of my colleagues in the School of Journalism that said, we're looking for content, basically. Anybody like to give it a go? So we started it. I said, yeah, put my hand up. Because most tutors, lecturers are performers, right? We do like the element of theatre in the classroom, you know.
Yeah.
So
I could never tell, Adrian. I wouldn't be able to tell that.
So I put my hand up, and once a month was the commitment, and I just loved it. And you know, then they said, "Oh well, shall we do it live?" So we then did twice a month, one of them live, which was a real wow, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's now settled down since the beginning of lockdown. Once weekly, 7 till 9 on Tuesday evenings. NLive Radio 106.9 FM or www.nliveradio.com, and it's focused on the best of business, charity, academic, civic leaders, really. I try to get on, but people doing over and above their day job in many ways. So I always like to get perhaps the business that's supporting this charity and get both of them in for a chat. And we've settled into 3 or 4 interviews of about 20 minutes each. I choose the music. That's an important part of the whole thing. So Tom Jones and ABBA get an awful lot of airtime, I can tell you that.
Fantastic,
you know,
very good.
And we've now got them as standalone podcasts, Chris, very much like this, and I'm very much looking forward to turning the tables and you coming in and I'm interviewing you. Sure.
No, it sounds great. So we'll also make sure in the show notes that the link that you just read out is included, so folk can find it very easily, listen to it, maybe even contact you if they want to appear on it and think that they might be a good guest for you to interview.
Very much so. If anybody's listening has got the story to tell, and they don't have to be in Northampton or the county, But if you've got some link with us, please come and tell us, share the story, and yeah, delighted to hear from you.
Yeah, and so we've met through the mutual connection, Pim. So Pim's this, for those that don't know, the CEO of the Silverstone Technology Cluster, which my business Longhurst is a member firm of, and obviously you're connected to as well, Adrian. So
yes.
what is your connection with the group, with the STC Group?
Well, the SDC Group. So, in a nutshell, the university, one of the joys I've had is to run the international business degree, and that involved student trips, and we decided to do it less on language, more about cultural immersion. So for the last 6-7 years, I've taken students up to 40 on trips to Europe, but actually to China and Vietnam every year.
Wow.
Where I fell in love with China in many ways. It was like the first year I could hardly speak. I was just agog. What? This is amazing. So each year I try to find and learn a bit more, try to build institutional contacts. And it came to the point that with a colleague, Xiaowei He, Professor Xiaowei He, we are, Xiaowei is the director, I'm the deputy director of the university's China Center. And we basically try to foster links between our region and our county with Chinese cities and provinces. And we're quite a long way down that road in terms of, think of, I don't know, sister cities or city twinning, whatever, right? Yeah. And the idea is to create the platform for businesses to follow. We'll go in, de-risk those relationships, get the political relationships sorted, and then the private sector can follow us. And you know, when you go to China, what do they want to learn about? They want to learn, well, we've quickly found out that advanced manufacturing, innovation centers is what they would like. And Silverstone, for those that know Formula One, and remember, there's a lot of rich Chinese now looking for new toys and new hobbies, the high net worth individuals. So it became quickly apparent there are about 20 cities would like to create in their city what Silverstone has built up over the last 70 years, which is this, you know, Formula One is the sexy front end, but behind that, all the supply chains, all the research and development, all that innovation cluster, you know, they want to do it, well, probably 7 weeks, 7 months, but let's say 7 years. They want to do in 7 years what Silverstone's done. So that became one of our major selling points for building relationships in China. And as a result of that, our China Center is a member of STC. We know Pim very, very well. We're trying, if you will, if I'm sure people will understand the macro. We're doing the sort of macro regional development sort of stuff. And underneath then the micro, the businesses can get involved. So that's really the main anchor. The link to that, I think you want to ask me a little bit about a new venture, a new member of the STC is S3 UK, Strategic Sourcing Solutions. This is effectively a 17-year-old business that a friend of mine that I studied my MBA with in 1888, was it? Well, it might have been 1988.
We'll stick with 1888.
We studied in Barcelona together. What a joy to do an MBA in Barcelona. My goodness, so many distractions. But Tom's been working for nearly 2 decades, 20 years, sourcing products for the Asian cost advantage from Asia, primarily China, but also Vietnam, Malaysia, all these places. And I wanted our China Center to not only be able to perhaps open the doors, but if there was a need, if any of the companies in Silverstone Technology Cluster or in the county or in the region wanted, you know, well, can you take it the stage further? Can you introduce us? Can you find me this product? Can you, well, I've got effectively a franchise business. I'm helping Tom enter the UK market as an add-on service to what I do with the university, you know, completely open and transparent. It's not about me and my business. It's about helping Tom and an established business come into the UK. Yeah. And he wanted a presence in the UK. So these now got, you know, offices UK, which our main office is in London, but obviously I'm here and do a lot of support from here. Barcelona, Hong Kong, and China. And we are looking to expand. We have links, very strong links with Vietnam and most of the Southeast Asian countries because the university has strong links there as well. So I'm hoping that it's a great new addition to the service companies in the Silverstone Technology Group and beyond. And though China is probably under a bit of a cloud at the moment, a degree of a lack of understanding. I mean, the more you read about China, actually, they're pretty clever and astute in their long-term, you know, national development plan. So I think China it's not an easy game. It's not a short win in China. You've got to be prepared to invest over time, but sooner or later, and I think you remember, perhaps the listeners remember a thing called Brexit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I understand we might be looking for new markets. We might have to, sooner or later, we've got to look at Asia again and probably at China again too. So this is just a service line that if anybody's interested, delighted to, to help point them in the right direction, put them in touch with Tom and his network of engineers, logistics specialists, and sales and marketing people, quality assurance, boots on the ground. What he offers, what S3 offers, are boots on the ground at both ends of the supply chain to take the risk out of sourcing. And also, actually, in reverse, we can help open doors by moving into those markets as well.
Very good, Adrian. Whirlwind. Literally loads of information. Fantastic. I'm going to make sure there's lots of links in the show notes so that people can first and foremost go onto the university, obviously find out about, obviously from an academic perspective, what you're teaching and coaching, certainly for those that have got potentially children that are going to be going through or considering university, indeed even those that are a little bit older, potentially thinking about re-educating and considering a different path. So I'll make sure there's links for that. I'll make sure there's links for the radio. I'll make sure there's links for S3. What else can we talk about? So a few minutes. So COVID, obviously horrendous. At some point next year, there'll be a vaccination, hopefully. We'll all have an injection and a new normal will begin. What are you personally looking forward to doing the most that perhaps you can't do at the moment?
Well, that's a great question. I think this is making some very big structural changes in our society. Even if you just think about city centre office spaces,
Yes.
People have got used to working from home, and from an academic perspective, I think companies are getting used to trusting their people to deliver without being in the office. So I think that's a massive radical change. What am I looking forward to? Well, linked to what we've been talking about before, I have been going 2, if not 3 times to China every year. And this year, I haven't been able to go at all. And I just can't wait to get on a plane to go back. It's not an easy posting, guys, considering I've lived for 13 years in Spain and lived in Barcelona. I'm sure everybody knows what great environments. China is a tough environment. Your Google doesn't work. You can't connect. But it's fascinating. And that whole Southeast Asia, you probably guess, I like positive energy. And I remember when I went to live in Spain in 1984, Spain had just joined the European Union. They just joined NATO. They were the EU's bridge to Latin America. Nadal, the tennis, the motorsport, there was so much going on in that 80s and 90s around Spain. There's a lot of energy. And I moved there and I met a lovely Spanish lady and I married her. Well, I'm not going to move to China. I don't suppose she's going to allow me to find a Chinese wife, but there's something about the same sensation of energy in China.
Yes.
For growth, for young people. My kids, I went to Spain, I learned to speak Spanish. My children, can we do the same, Dad? No, been there, done that. We've got all the contacts there. Go to China, spend a term, spend a year in China. You've got to see it to believe it, what they're doing. And they really are not going to be nicking our technology very much. We'd be wanting to nick their technology. So travel. I want to get back on the plane and renew my contacts in China and Southeast Asia.
Very good, very good. Adrian, I'm going to conclude with one final question. This is probably the most serious of questions you'll have ever been asked in decades of business, in decades of international jet setting around the world.
Oh my goodness. The
most important of questions that I actually asked at the beginning of this new series with Ellie. And it's a bit of a stupid one, actually. So I'm going to do a drum roll. Adrian Pryce. What is the king of crisps? That's the level that we're at, Adrian.
Wow, this is deep, man. I don't have time to check my academic literature, right?
No, you've got to give me when you're going to have a little treat. You're going to put your feet up and watch your favourite box set, if you do such a thing, or sit in the garden. And you're going to open a snack. What's your favourite snacky crisp?
Okay, 2, if I may, and you'll know why. 2, it's vegetable crisps.
Nice.
For my health.
Yes.
Pringles chorizo flavoured chips for my not health and my connection and emotional links with Spain.
Very good, very good. Great answer, great answer. You've had a few that have brought up vegetarian or vegetable flavoured crisps. So that must be like a technology, engineering, academic type thing. I think it's very, very good. So Adrian, thank you for being a good sport and for coming on the show. I'm going to make sure there's lots of links in the show notes. So for those that are listening to this, you can find out everything that Adrian's just been speaking about, and also obviously contact him if you want to talk further and engage with what he's doing academically or otherwise. And Adrian, of course, I'll come on your show in due time. I look forward to similar grilling and interesting questions at the end.
Thank you so much indeed. All the best.
Cheers, Adrian. Thank you.
The Inside Silverstone podcast is produced by the team at Longhurst for the benefit of those with a passion for all things tech, engineering and innovation. For more information, please visit longhurst.co.uk/Inside Silverstone, whilst also remembering to give us a 5 out of 5 star rating on iTunes. Please note that neither Chris Broome or Longhurst work for Silverstone Park, Silverstone Circuit or Silverstone Technology Cluster.